Hi friends, my name is Sarang. So today we will learn how to configure the SSL TLS certificate in a Spring Boot gRPC application. So before watching this video, I would recommend you to watch the gRPC client and microservice video, which is there in my channel. And after that, you can watch this video because in this video, I have not enabled the TLS SSL certificate. But in the current video, I will show how to do that, and also I will demo the interceptor and metadata concept in the gRPC using Spring Boot. So let's get started. So as you know, the SSL TLS certificate is used to encrypt the data exchanged between the client and server. Okay, and it is also used to authenticate the server and also used to authenticate the client as well. So in order to do that in the gRPC, what I have done is I have created three application. Okay, so then this is shared application, and this is gRPC server service, and this is gRPC client service. Okay, so in the shared project, I have uh, written the proto file, okay, with the name of schema.proto. So in this proto file, I have the data object with the name called request, and I have another data object with the name called response. And each of this data object will have a variable name lowercase, and the response would have a uppercase. Here I have created a Unity API, which is a contract between the client and server. The name of the contract is get uppercase string, which will accept the request and it will return the response. Okay, so the gRPC server service is implementing this particular contract. Okay, so this is the business logic where the client will send the request, and we will send the uppercase string back to the client. The client will send the lowercase, and we will make that lowercase string to uppercase and send it to the client. Okay, so using the onNext method, we will send the response to the client, and after that, we will call the onCompleted method. So if you don't understand this flow, I would recommend you to watch again this video and come back to the video. Okay, so this is the server service where we have written our business logic, and let's look at the client service. So the client service has a REST APIs exposed, so it will take the lowercase from the user, and then it will make a RPC call to the gRPC server service. Okay, so this is the line where the RPC call would be made, and this particular business logic would be executed, and the client will get the uppercase string. Okay, and we will give that uppercase string to the user. Okay, so since we are making a RPC call between these two applications, the gRPC server service and the gRPC client service, so the communication between this two service needs to be secured. So for that, we have to enable the or configure the SSL TLS certificate, right? So first we have to create the certificate. Since we are not the certificate authority, or we cannot, for time being, we cannot use the certificates which is provided by the certificate authority. So we will create a self-signed certificates. So these are a few commands. Using that, you can generate the server certificate and the server private key, and also create a self-signed certificate. So execute this method, this commands one by one. Okay, so I have also given the comments that what this command will do. Okay, and then you can configure this, but you can just copy paste the certificate. So in the gRPC client service, you have to keep the localhost.cert.pem file, and on the server side, you have to have the server certificate CRT, and you have to have the private key, which is on localhost.pem file. Okay, so after creating the certificate and after adding the certificate into the application, you have to go to this application YAML. So this is the application YAML of our gRPC server, where you have to write the location of this certificate. So this is the absolute path of where the certificate is present, and this is the absolute part of where the server private key is present. Okay, So the same we have to do it in the application YAML of a client, where here we are mentioning that the negotiation time would be TLS, and we will give the absolute part of the certificate.pem file here. Okay, so after configuring this thing in the application YAML, the communication between these two applications would be secured. Okay, so now let's test the application. So I will start the gRPC client service, and at the same time, I will also start the gRPC server service. So let's wait to get them started, and the server service will start at 9000 port, and the client service will start at 8000 port. Okay, so I think the client service is up and running now. So let's see the server service. Okay, so it's getting started. Okay, I think both the application is up and running. So now let's send the request to the client, and the client will send the RPC call to the server service. So let's use the client 8000 uppercase. I'll just write a lowercase string. Let's send it. So I got the dev problem lowercase string as a uppercase in the response. So let me write my name Sarang and let's test it again. Okay, so I got the uppercase string. So so now the application is working. So if I can explain the flow, what would have happened is first I'm hitting this URL, okay, and after that this particular method is getting executed where we are making an RPC call to this gRPC server service, okay, and this will give us the uppercase string. Okay, so here while making a call, so what would happen is this server will make use of the certificate and it will send the certificate to the client service, okay, and the client will use this particular certificate to authenticate the user. So this example of TLS is a server-side TLS I have shown you. So now what we'll do is, since if you can see here, I have enabled the security and it is having the certificate enabled. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this TLS into a plain text, okay, and I'll just comment this to line to just test whether what exception we'll get when we don't have a TLS enabled at the client side, but we have enabled the TLS at the server side. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I will restart the application. Okay, and it is getting restarted. So we'll go to the client, but let's wait for it get to restart it. Okay, okay, I think the server is up and running. So let's send the request. Okay, we got empty string. So let's see what exception we got here is. Here the exception is network closed for unknown reason. So this message is coming from this line where we got an exception from the server, and the exception is we are the client network got closed because of unknown reason, and that reason is because the server has a TLS enabled and the client doesn't have the TLS enabled. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna again write what it was before, okay, and I will restart the application. Okay, so I think you got an idea of how we have configured this TLS certificate and make the communication secure between two microservices, which is gRPC. Okay, so now I would also like to explain you about the interceptors here. So in the client, I have the interceptor here with the name called API key auth interceptor. So if you want to execute a piece of code before executing the business logic, there you can use the interceptor. Okay, and I have a metadata also in the gRPC, where metadata you can think of a data which which is additional to the business logic. So in the REST we have headers. So that is equivalent to headers in REST is metadata in gRPC. Okay, so I have written one small logic where when we are making this RPC call, okay, so this is a client service. When we are making the RPC call, the execution will come to the interceptor first because it will intercept that request, and what it will do is it will add a X API key as a key in the header and a value named devproblems. So why this I have added here is because in the server side, I have a server side interceptor where it is expecting a key value. A key should be X API key and the value should be devproblems. Okay. So if the client is not sending this key value in the metadata, then we will reject that call. Okay, so in the server, what would happen is this is our business logic. So before running the before executing the business logic, I want the client to be authenticated. Okay, and I'm authenticating the client using the API key. Okay, so what you have to do is on the server side, you have to implement this server interceptor and write this annotation gRPC global server interceptor, and you have to override this method. And in this method, you will get the parameter name server call metadata and the server call handler. Okay, so here what you have to do is you have to create an object of metadata, okay, where the key would be X API key, and here you have to mention your marshaller. So here I have used axi string marshaller. You have more options, okay. So for time being, I have used this, and then I have extracted the key, okay, the value of the key from the metadata that I have got in the parameter. Okay, so this metadata would be the same which is sent by the client. Okay, I am logging the value of the key. Okay, and then I'm just checking whether the key sent from the client is not null. Okay, I'm just checking, and the value should be dev problems. If it's the value is dev problems, then I'm starting the call. So what would happen is, so at this line, the business logic will start. Okay, and if the value is not dev problems, so then we will send a status saying that it is the client is unauthenticated with a description called invalid API key. Okay, so this is a server interceptor. Okay, so what we are doing is we are authenticating the client before executing the business logic, and we are expecting the client to send the X API key as a key and the value of this key as a dev problems. Okay, so the same thing I have written over here in the client, where before making a call to that server, we will input the header with the key name as a X API key and the value as a dev problems. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, uh, so as you can see this, both the application is up and running. Okay, so let me go to this logs, and I would like to show you the logs. Okay, let me rerun this application server. Okay, so hope you understood what I'm doing here is I want to show you the one of the use case of interceptor in the gRPC. So this is how you will write the interceptor in the server side, and you will write your logic. The interceptor can be used for authentication, authorization, any side effects, logging, anything you want. Okay, so now our application server has been started. So I will just send the request. Okay, it should give the upper string of the value of the string that I have sent. Okay, it has given me. So let's check the logs. Okay, so this is the logs of server service. So what it is doing is It is first logging this thing where I have just made a method called get method descriptor, where it will just mention which method we're gonna call, or which business method that we will call. So here you can see we are gonna call the get uppercase string. So this method we are gonna call. So that's what I have logged here. Okay. And after that, I have written a log call for knowing what is the value of the API key. So here they have the client have sent their problem, so that is correct. Okay. And let's check the client service. Okay, so the client service, before making an RPC call, it has logged this particular thing where it is saying that which method in the server we're gonna execute. So it has written get uppercase string. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send the incorrect API key here. Okay, I'm gonna read in the application and let's see what error we're gonna get. Okay, so let's get back to this client. But before that, let's wait for the application to start. Okay, so now I'm gonna send the incorrect API key and probably will get some error from the server, and the error message is gonna be invalid API key, which we have written it over here. Okay, if the API key is not the same, we will close the call and we will send the error message saying invalid API key. So let's see. Okay, the application is started. So now hang on for a second and I'm gonna send the request. Okay, so let's give it a minute. Okay, we got an empty string. That means there is a problem here. So as you can see here, we got an error saying that unauthenticated invalid API key. The same thing that we have written in the server. Okay. Okay, so now let's make use of one of the GUI client, which is a BloomRPC. Using this, what you can do is you can test your server directly. So here is, as you can see that before what we were doing is we were making an RPC call using this gRPC client service. If you want to make a RPC call from the GUI application, you can use this BloomRPC, and it is same as a Postman in REST. Okay, so if you want to make an RPC call using a GUI application, you can use this BloomRPC. Okay, so now I have closed this gRPC client service because I'm not going to make RPC call to this gRPC server service now using that service. I'm going to use the GUI application. So as you can see, we need the TLS certificate first in order to make the call to the server because we have enabled the certificate there. And before making a call, you need to import the schema.proto file. So this is the file. If you can remember that we have this schema.proto file where we have written our contract. Okay, so now since this is the client, this BloomRPC, we have the client needs to know what's the contract. So you have to import this profile. And now let's write the request as a lowercase. I'll send as a sarang, and you also have to import the client certificate. Okay, so I will quickly go and import it. Just give me a second. So in the client gRPC client service, we know we have one of the client service where we have the certificate, and here our domain is localhost. So we'll write localhost here. It's done. And we also need to send the metadata. So we have to send the metadata as a XAPI key, if you can remember. So I will write XAPI key, and the value should be dev problems. Correct. So I will send the request and I'll get the response as a uppercase sarang. Okay. You will also see the logs here. Just a second. Here. Okay. So you'll just saw the log here. Okay. So previously we were sending a request from this application, but if you want to test the server directly without any writing a code, you can directly use this BloomRPC to make a call. Okay. So here you can, in this section, you can add your metadata. You can configure your certificate uh, in this option. TLS, and first you need to import your proto file so that this BloomRPC would know what is a contract, and click on this method, and just write your request, because as you can see the contract in the shared, I have a request where the variable is lowercase. So that is what this method is expecting, the request, and we will get the response in a variable called uppercase. So you can see the uppercase, and this is the response. Okay, so hope you have understood the configuration of TLS certificate in a gRPC Spring Boot application. Also, I've tried to make you understand how we can use the interceptors for authenticating the client, or logging, or any kind of side effects that you want to add. You can add it in an interceptor, because it's a piece of code that is executing before your business logic. And I've also explained the metadata. So metadata is the same as a header that we added in a REST applications. So you can use metadata to add few business related information. Okay, and also I have demo how you can use this GUI application BloomRPC to directly test the server. Okay, without writing a code or without building an application to make a RPC call, you can first test your server using this GUI. Okay. Okay, so I think that's it, and please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because I've seen people not subscribing to the channel, but they are they are just watching the video and not subscribing it. So let me tell you, when you subscribe, it will not cost you any money. So hope you will subscribe from now on, because 96% of my viewers in the channel are not subscribing it, and only the 4% of the people have subscribed. Okay, so make sure you subscribe before watching the video, and share the video as much as you can. And thank you so much. Have a great day.